Good evening, Jacqueline Lopez, Planning Commissioner. Meeting for today, Wednesday, August 23rd at 6 p.m. If you can please get roll call.
Commissioner Isiano.
Present.
Commissioner Fajardo.
Present.
Commissioner Lopez.
Present.
Vice Chairperson Franz, Chairperson Rodriguez Ceja are both absent.
Thank you. Commissioner Fajardo, could you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? That leads us to item 3. If there's any public comment for items not on the agenda.
There are none.
Okay, seeing that there's none, we have the minutes to approve for August 9, 2023. If everyone has a chance to take a look at those minutes, and if we have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes of Planning Commission meeting of August 9th, 2023.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. No. Okay.
Commissioner Isiano.
Yes.
Commissioner Fajardo.
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez.
I'm going to abstain. I was absent on August 9th.
Motion does not carry.
Okay. Next item, we have our public hearing items. If anyone would like to speak, please be sure to get a speaker form to complete and to give to Jessica. So the first item we have is a request for continuance to date for a certain time of September 27th. Resolution number 2055, and I'm going to go ahead and open it for public hearing.
Do you want a staff report?
Oh, and yes, please, staff report, yes. Sorry.
Good evening, Commissioners. Kevin Snyder, Director of Community Development. This item was originally heard by the Planning Commission on July 26, 2023. At that meeting, the Commission requested the applicant revise certain plans pertaining to the requested conditions of approval to be addressed prior to going to City Council for review. This project, as you may remember, is subject to Planning Commission review and recommendation and City Council consideration and final action. So the Commission did request that the applicant revise the plans to address the conditions that were outstanding and needed to be addressed before it could go to City Council. And so the applicant has been working on that, has requested additional time to continue that work effort, and we agreed upon a time and date certain of September 27th, 2023, beginning at 6 p.m. So staff is recommending that the Commission pass a motion to continue the public hearing to a date and time certain of September 27th, 2023, beginning at 6 p.m. Happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions for staff or director, sir? Seeing that there are no questions, do we have any public comments on this item? None? Okay. So I guess we'll go ahead and we have a motion to continue Resolution 2055.
Yes, I'll make a motion to request continuance to a date and time certain of September 27th, 2023 for resolution number 2055.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Commissioner Isiano.
Yes.
Commissioner Fajardo.
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is Resolution 2065, conditionally approving the discretionary planning review land entitlement for the RV storage case filed 2023-01-06. Do we have a staff report on that?
Good evening. Good evening, Commissioners. For the record, Kevin Snyder, Director of Community Development. This evening, there is a public hearing item pertaining to a proposed mini storage project in the city of Indio. This is the last project that was not impacted by the moratorium that's currently in effect on both mini storage facilities and recreational vehicle storage facilities. So this project is called Indio RV Storage, and I'm just going to go through the presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have throughout the presentation or at the end. So this request is a discretionary planning review approval for the construction of a 1,500 square foot customer service office building and 212 covered RV parking spaces, RV and boat parking spaces on approximately 5.8 acres. It is City Council, Planning Commission decision-making this evening with appeal opportunity only to City Council. So basically meaning that if the Commission takes action tonight, this will be the final decision-making component unless appealed to City Council. The applicant is 1784 Holdings LLC out of Scottsdale, Arizona. The parcel numbers are listed on the screen, and this area is kind of in what we call our industrial area. If you're familiar with it, it's directly west of the Valley Sanitary District treatment plant, and so it's north of Enterprise Way. It's east of Citrus Avenue and west of Van Buren Street. So again, approximately 5.8 acres. It has a current general plan designation of workplace employment district and a zoning designation of heavy industrial. Here is an aerial map showing you the location to kind of help you visualize. The treatment plant I just mentioned is to the right, and then the property parcels that are affected by this project are outlined with the blue dots. So these are pictures of the site and the surrounding properties. The site is currently vacant and undeveloped. There is property to the south that is also vacant and undeveloped. There are properties to the north that are developed. Again, to the east is the sewer treatment plant, and to the west is vacant undeveloped land as well. Again, this is in the area that we commonly refer to as our industrial district area, and it is populated by a variety of light industrial to heavy industrial land uses. This is the project site plan as envisioned. Again, the 1,500 square foot customer service building would be located at the primary entrance off of Enterprise Way. Again, there would be 212 covered RV and boat parking spaces. A secondary entrance is also proposed off of Van Buren Street. This would be enclosed by a block wall, and there would be gated access for security purposes at both the Enterprise Way and Van Buren Street access points. This is the project landscape plan. The applicant has gone with a drought-tolerant landscape theme with a variety of different landscape materials that are conducive to our climatic conditions, notwithstanding our little event this last weekend. But they are focused on installing desert-appropriate landscaping, and so staff has reviewed the landscape plan and finds it consistent both with current requirements of the Unified Development Code along with the city's model water landscape ordinance. Here is the project building elevations. This is a very what I will call modern contemporary thematic, consistent with what the commission has seen in other buildings in the city. Flat roofs, modulated fronting elevations, along with significant glazing on portions of the building, and then differentiation by color. Here's the digital materials board showing the different materials along with color. Here are some project renderings that give you kind of a 3D perspective of what the project would look like upon construction. Here's a preliminary grading plan. It's a relatively flat site, so there is not significant amount of grading that needs to be done other than preparatory grading for construction of the canopies, the customer service building, and then obviously just the overall grading needed for creating the asphalt condition out there along with necessary grading for landscaping. So staff conducted an analysis. We looked at the compliance with the General Plan 2040 and found it to be compliant with relevant goals and policies of the General Plan. We also looked at it for compliance with the Unified Development Code, specifically section .04.03F, which pertains to discretionary planning review approvals. And we found that there are a multitude of criterion that criteria that was this project was analyzed against, and that it's either compliant or can be made compliant with application of conditions. So all in all, the project complies with both the general plan and the Unified Development Code applicable zoning regulations. California Environmental Quality Act, an initial study was completed. A mitigated negative declaration was determined appropriate. So that is attached to your staff report this evening, has applicable mitigation measures that have been incorporated as conditions of approval in the resolution that is before you this evening for action. The conditions of approval, again, with the application of conditions of approval, the project can be approved, and those conditions of approval are binding and must be adhered to. Only time they could not be adhered to is if the applicant in the future came back to the commission and sought changes in conditions of approval. Otherwise, if you pass the resolution this evening, they are binding and must be adhered to. So we have submitted to you 2 memos. One was provided to you yesterday pertaining to a minor site plan revision relating to the interior perimeter wall. And the staff is recommending that that minor site plan revision be approved. We also submitted to you prior to tonight's public hearing revised conditions of approval from the Public Works Department pertaining to street improvements. Upon further analysis, we determined that a number of the original conditions were no longer applicable as there's a heavily built condition out there. So you'll see in the second memo that we are recommending either modification or deletion of some conditions of approval. So the staff recommendation is to approve resolution number 2065, and we've also added incorporating the minor site plan revision and also the modification of conditions of approval by the Public Works Department. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions the commission might have. Again, this is a public hearing. The applicant and the applicant's team is in attendance, and they will be happy to answer any questions you have following any questions I can answer for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Director Snyder? Okay, thank you. Okay, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing for this item. And our first speaker is Shane Swerdlow.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay. All right, honorable commissioners, it's nice to see you. I believe we do have a PowerPoint that's been loaded to the screen. All right, perfect. All right, thank you, honorable commissioners, for the opportunity to share this project with you. It's nice to see all of you. The last time that our team got to meet with you was about a year ago when we did a project consultation for this project. My name is Shane Swerdlow. I'm a land use consultant at Craig Lawson and Company, and I'm joined in person by members of our project team. We're all excited to share this project with you and answer any questions that you have. Our team members in attendance include Kelly McCone from the applicant 1784 Holdings, and then various consultants from our design, engineering, and environmental teams, including Jesse Ray, Michelle Bach, Benjamin Egan, and Nicole Christ, who worked on the M&D for the project. 1784 Holdings was established in 2013 and has grown to be one of the leading developers and operators of storage facilities in the U.S. with an increased focus on Southern California. 1784 Holdings is committed to improving public perception of storage facilities through state-of-the-art construction, upscale architectural design, professional management, and enhanced security. We know you have recently been thinking a lot about storage facilities in Indio, including RV storage. The reality is that the demand for secure RV storage facilities is exceptionally high in the city. Demand for alternative modes of travel and accommodations, including RVs, significantly increased during the pandemic and has continued. And in addition, one of the main drivers of RV storage demand is new residential development, of which there's been a lot in Indio. As new planned communities are constructed in Indio, most have HOAs with very strict policies that prohibit the parking of RVs within residential neighborhoods. And that increases the demand for convenient storage facilities nearby. Part of the uniquely high demand for recreational travel in Indio and among Indio residents is the proximity of world-class natural and recreational areas such as Joshua Tree National Park. And Indio's year-round status as the city of festivals has further increased popularity as a cultural and tourism destination, which relates to various factors that have contributed to the high RV storage demand in the city. 1784 Holdings works with a team of economic experts to complete thorough market research when identifying potential development sites and is confident in the high demand that will sustain this new project for RV storage in the area. Within a 5-mile radius of the project site, existing RV storage facilities are nearly fully occupied, with an average 98.69% occupancy rate. And while this project's proposed 212 stalls would make a dent in meeting the area's high demand, unmet demand is still so high that there would still be demand for additional RV storage within the vicinity even after this project is built. This project will specifically provide the types of features that are most in demand in the current market, and these include permanent canopy structures over the storage. Yes. Can you hear me now? All right, sorry about that. Just to repeat, this project really focuses on features that are very high demand for RV storage facilities in this area, which include permanent canopy structures, on-site management, enhanced security monitored by video surveillance, and on-site amenities such as water hose areas. So while demand is very high for RV storage facilities, it's very challenging to find appropriate locations for this use in the city of Indio. RV storage is not permitted in any residential or commercial zones. So the only zones where the use is permitted are the city's industrial zones, the IL and the IH zones. And when considering the range of uses that the city would like to see in these industrial zones, we feel that this specific site is the optimal location for meeting RV storage demand in the city. As shown in this aerial, the project site is in a relatively remote part of the city that is effectively buffered from neighborhoods by notable barriers, which are shown in green in this aerial, and those include a railroad right-of-way, the Whitewater River, and the 10 freeway. The site is also very close to the city's eastern boundary and is immediately next to the Valley Sanitary District sewer treatment plant, which is shaded in orange. The proximity of the sewer treatment plant has significantly reduced the site's attractiveness to other potential users and is among the reasons that this project site and other abutting properties have sat vacant for many years. We believe this project will provide an attractive and much-needed buffer between the sewer treatment plant and the surrounding industrial district and will help serve as a catalyst for new economic development within the immediate vicinity. As shown on the site plan, the project would include construction of a 1-story customer service building along Enterprise Way, shown in blue. Customer parking and the main vehicular and pedestrian entrance would be located adjacent to this building along Enterprise Way. A secondary vehicular entrance would be located along Van Buren Street. The RV storage spaces would be located at the interior of the site and all would be covered by open-air permanent canopy structures clad in metal. An architecturally integrated 8-foot solid wall, which is shown in orange, would wrap the entire outdoor storage area and would be set back from adjacent streets by a 10-foot landscaped area. The project, as Kevin mentioned, has been designed to be consistent with relevant zoning standards in the current Unified Development Code. This includes the permitted outdoor storage use and regulations regarding site area, setbacks, height, perimeter walls, floor area ratio, open space, and landscaping. Attractive architectural design is a very high priority for 1784 Holdings, and this project will feature a contemporary design with high-quality materials, including significant use of concrete masonry unit in auburn and gray tones, dark metal, and extensive glass at the customer service building. And I do have some material samples if you're interested in seeing what these would look like in person. Thank you for your help with that. So the samples that are being passed around are samples of the concrete masonry unit with the auburn color, that would be the dominant color, the gray accent color, a sample of the stucco, which is like a cloud cream color, and then some gray paint color that would be integrated throughout the project, as well as a sample of the architectural metal. This rendering provides a feel for how the solid perimeter wall with auburn and gray would look from the adjacent streets with the dark metal permanent canopy structures visible behind the walls. And to provide a feel for what the project would look like, these are photos of a completed comparable project by the same developer in a desert setting, which provides a feel of what these materials would look like and how they complement the surrounding desert landscape. Because this project includes 10-foot setbacks along all adjacent streets, it provides an exciting opportunity to create an attractive gateway to the surrounding industrial district through a robust landscape design. As shown in this landscape palette, the design will feature drought-tolerant, desert-compatible landscaping that meets the requirements of the city water-efficient landscape ordinance. And because this will be the most visible component of the project, our design team has emphasized use of plants that add color and sculptural form to the landscape setback areas to create an attractive gateway to the district. As Kevin mentioned, this project conforms with many general plan goals and policies and supports many aspects of the general plan. It is a use that meets the needs of Indio residents at an appropriate location that will help encourage additional economic development in the vicinity, while spending from those who live in Indio and from surrounding communities. It features high-quality architecture and landscaping and does not generate the significant traffic, air, and noise pollution impacts associated with other industrial uses. In addition, the project offers many benefits to the community. It provides a service that is in very high demand at an appropriate location. The applicant has a proven track record in setting the industry's highest standards in management, operations, design, construction, and security. The project enhances a long vacant site with attractive improvements and provides a much-needed buffer between the adjacent sewer treatment plant and surrounding industrial district. In addition to not generating adverse environmental impacts, the project will be a catalyst for future economic development and will provide tangible benefits to the city through permitting and development impact fees and physical improvements to surrounding streets. So with that, we really appreciate your consideration of this project. We're available to answer any questions regarding the project itself or any of the updates that Kevin mentioned, which are the focus of the memos that city staff provided. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Swerdlow. Do you have any questions or comments for the applicant?
Yeah, I had one question, and thank you for the presentation and
Absolutely.
your thoroughness. Appreciate that. What's the difference between the classes of different RV storage facilities? I understand it's marketed as a Class A storage facility. Can you kind of get into that a little bit more for us? Thanks.
So yeah, if you were to, and I may defer to the applicant as well to supplement my answer, but there are different categories of storage facilities. These are really focused on quality, these Class A facilities, and some of the amenities that I mentioned, having security, having covered spaces, that's a big component. A lot of times, some of the more budget-oriented RV storage facilities aren't fully paved. They have like dirt or some other material as the pavement, and they lack any type of canopy structures, which is really an important aspect. So there's also a customer service present. So having that indoor, really attractive customer service office where that would be open to visitors, having on-site staff to help interface, those are all amenities that contribute to the high-quality experience.
And yes, can you just repeat how many jobs will be created from this project?
That's a good question. I mean, it should be acknowledged this isn't the highest job generating use, even though it is a service that's in very high demand. These facilities tend to have 2 to 4 jobs on site, and then there are, in addition to that, jobs that are associated with the management, the maintenance of the facility, as well as the approval process. And we've really focused on engaging local consultants to help with the engineering aspects of the project, with the environmental review and the evaluation.
Okay. With the jobs that you discussed, will you have that included security, or is that on-site security or monitor security?
Yeah, this is mainly customer service jobs as well as management. Security is primarily handled through a state-of-the-art video surveillance system.
Got it. Okay. Any further questions for the applicant? Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and open up public comments. Is
Okay.
there any comments for this item?
There are none.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and close public comments. Sorry. it's loud. Okay. And at this time, we're going to go ahead and start with the closing comments. Commissioners?
I can go ahead and start. Just want to say thank you once again for the presentation, and I appreciated the research that you folks did share with the 98% occupancy rate and how the HOA and their CCRs do have an impact on that. So clearly there's some research there that I think is important to note. But more importantly, I did some homework on the company. Very impressive. I think this would be your 8th, correct me if I'm wrong, storage facility in California, correct? And you're operating in other states as well. So we appreciate that, hence the question about Class A, because we want to provide the very best for our residents. And more importantly, I do appreciate the fact that you do have the enhanced security video monitoring, and really impressed by the robust design and the quality of your materials, and they're here for you, by the way. But more importantly, just wanted to say thank you again. Thank you to 1784, I believe it was, correct, Holdings, for the information as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Fajardo. Commissioner Luciano? No comments? Okay. I'll go ahead. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll go ahead and motion at this time to approve resolution number 2065, conditionally approving the discretionary plan and review land use entitlement for Indio RV storage, and adopting the initial study and mitigated negative declaration with the minor modification to this site plan requested by the applicant, and with revisions to conditions of approvals recommended by the Public Works Department.
I'll second.
Okay.
Commissioner Enciano,
Yes.
Commissioner Fajardo,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, congratulations. Next item on the agenda, resolution number 2066, number 2069, and 2070 of the planning 573-861. And this is the commissioner approving planning review of phase 1, which includes the development of 340 residential units consisting of 195 garden-style attached and detached single-family units. So if we can go ahead and please give a staff report before. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Kendra Reeve, Principal Planner. Tonight I'll be presenting the Calhoun Avenue 43 Specific Plan Project. The project applicant will be seeking a recommendation of approval to the City Council from the Planning Commission for their specific plan, and the project applicant will also be seeking approval from the Planning Commission for the planning review for Plan Area 1 and their initial study with mitigated negative declaration. On November 15th, 2022, applicant Andrea Sepulveda submitted an application for a specific plan and planning review with associated environmental documentation on behalf of CRERMG Calhoun 29 LLC, proposing the development of 1,200 build-to-rent residential units with community pools, gyms, clubhouses, and open space common areas. The Calhoun and Avenue 43 project would be developed on approximately 60 acres in 2 communities on the west and east sides of Calhoun Street. Assessor's parcel number 692-060-023, 692-060-006, and 692-060-007, and 008. The planning review will encompass the eastern half of the site, which will be developing 340 units, including single-family attached and detached units and townhomes. For reference, here's the proposed project area. So it's directly behind where the 24-hour fitness is in North Indio. The Calhoun and Avenue 43, the specific plan proposes the development of a residential community on approximately 60 acres. It would allow for the construction of up to 1,200 single-family attached and detached units and townhomes at an average density between 14 and 20 dwelling units per acre. The project would include the development of community pools, gyms, clubhouses, and open space common areas spread across the 2 project area sites, which are noted here as Phase 1 and Phase 2. The one that says Phase 1 current is the one that is going to be receiving the planning review tonight. Both Plan Area 1 and Plan Area 2 will have access points along Avenue 43 and Calhoun Street. This will require the extension of Calhoun Street south from its current terminus at Avenue 43 through the project site Topia Avenue. Project Areas 1's primary ingress and egress will occur on Avenue 43 with 2 secondary emergency access points onto Calhoun Street. Project Area 2's primary ingress and egress will occur at one of the 2 access points on Avenue 43 with 3 secondary emergency access points onto Calhoun Street. The intersections at the primary entrances and exits will not be signalized at this time. Instead, there will be a right in, right out, left in, left out. At build out of this specific plan, both Calhoun Street and Avenue 43 will be built to ultimate widths of 64 feet. Development of Project Area 1 will be required to fully improve the eastern half of Calhoun Street, including sidewalks, curbs, and gutters. The western half will remain partially improved with 12 feet of asphalt and a 10-foot dirt shoulder until development of Project Area 2, which will then trigger all remaining improvements to the western half of Calhoun Street. The project is also responsible for improving the southern half of Avenue 43, including sidewalks, curbs, and gutter. The planning review will encompass the eastern half of the site, allowing 340 units, including single-family attached and detached units and townhomes. Construction will begin in the center and then develop in a clockwise order. There will be 195 garden-style attached and detached single-family units and 145 townhomes. Plan Area 1 will also develop a community pool, gym, clubhouse, open space common areas, and a community garden. The architectural guidelines outlined in the specific plan are taking inspiration from mid-century modern designs. The Calhoun and Avenue 43 specific plan supports a range of unit types and sizes that meet the diverse housing needs of the community. PA1 proposes single and 2-story units and offers 1, 2, and 3 bedroom floor plans ranging from 671 square feet to 1,366 square feet. Consistent with the underlying zoning standards, the specific plan allows for a maximum building height of 40 feet. However, proposed building heights in Project Area 1 will not exceed 30 feet. Single-family homes are typically 1 to 2-story units and can be detached or a duplex. These units have access to adjacent covered or open parking. Dedicated private space is required and may include private yards and or ground floor porches. Planned single-family neighborhoods typically provide community amenities such as pool, open space, barbecue areas, fitness centers, and clubhouses. While the single-family units proposed for PA1 do not have attached garages, private garage space can be rented in on-site garage structures on a first-come, first-served basis. Off-street parking is typically provided adjacent to the proposed units. It includes a mix of assigned and unassigned or guest parking. An image of the standalone garages are at the top of this picture for your reference. Multifamily homes. There are a variety of multifamily housing types, included triplexes, fourplexes, bungalow courts, townhomes, garden apartments, and multi-story apartments proposed within the specific plan area. Triplexes and fourplexes are one single building divided into three or four individual dwelling units respectively. Bungalow courts are comprised of freestanding small cottages or houses arranged around a central garden or courtyard. Townhomes are multi-floor homes that share 1 or 2 walls with adjacent properties but have private entrances. Garden apartments are low-rise apartment buildings with direct access to lawns, trees, and gardens. Multi-story apartments are self-contained housing units that occupy part of a larger building where residents share the same floors as other residents. Like planned single-family neighborhoods, multifamily areas provide community amenities such as pool, open space, barbecue areas, fitness centers, and other shared community space. All townhomes proposed for PA1 have attached tuck-under single or 2-story garages. Off-street guest parking is typically provided adjacent to the proposed buildings. Internal circulation will be provided by private driveways via an entry driveway. For PA1, the entryway drive will be 57 feet wide and include a 10-foot wide landscape median. On either side will be a 5-foot buffer space and a 5-foot sidewalk. Internal driveways will be approximately 26 feet wide. Some internal driveways will have sidewalks immediately adjacent. Others will be flanked by parking and garage structures with pedestrian walkways located along internal greenways. A combination of the following accent features shall be incorporated into a project entry drive. Ornamental landscaping, architectural monuments, decorative walls. Project entry features should reflect the overall architectural character of the development. Call boxes located at gated entry should be architecturally integrated with the project and enhanced with facade details. A variety of landscaping materials should be used at project entryways. These are some renderings that are taken directly from the specific plan to kind of support the ideas that are proposed in the plan. Elements of mid-century modern interior design include clean lines, a combination of natural and man-made materials, graphic shapes, vibrant colors, and integrating indoor and outdoor motifs. Generally, guidelines for building and design materials are as follows. Colors should include a base color and accent colors. Generally, a minimum of 3 colors should be used for each building. Color scheme should be selected with a harmonious range of accent materials and roof profile colors. The building materials will incorporate both texture and color. If the building's exterior design is highly articulated, the wall texture should be simple and subdued. However, if the building design is simple, a finely textured material should be used to enrich the building's overall character. These are examples of proposed building materials and the different types of walls and fences that will be found within the proposed project area. Landscaping will be used to help define outdoor spaces, soften structure's appearance, and to screen parking, loading, storage, and equipment areas. The open space and recreational amenities include open retention areas, a number of parks, dog parks, community gardens, playgrounds, and pools and spas designed to accommodate various needs and activity levels through their easy access, convenient connection to home, and thoughtful designs. The landscape materials listed in the community plant palette have been selected for the appropriateness to the project theme, climatic condition, soil condition, and concern for maintenance. The plant palette will feature a variety of trees, palms, shrubs, vines, and accents featuring desert-compatible species. Inert materials and decorative pavers will also be used to complement natural vegetation. Appendix A of the specific plan, which was uploaded as an attachment to the staff report, includes a more comprehensive and detailed list of the landscape plan. This further outlines the proposed landscape plan for Project Area 1 and the different species that will be utilized. Staff analysis. The project is compliant with the City of Indio General Plan and Specific Plan. It's in compliance with the City of Indio General Plan and Municipal Code Section 6.05.03. Section 6.03.06 of the Unified Development Code states that all projects shall be reviewed for compliance with or exemption from the California Environmental Quality Act. An environmental review will be conducted pursuant to Title 14 of the California Code of Regulations. The applicant's environmental consultant, Terra Nova Planning and Research, completed an initial study with mitigated negative declaration in compliance with CEQA to adequately analyze the project's potential impacts on the environment. The ISMND determined that the project could have a significant effect on the environment, but there will not be a significant effect in this case because revisions in the project have been made or agreed to by the project proponent, and the mitigation measures developed are appropriate to address the potentially significant impacts. With the application of relevant conditions of approval, the project can be approved, and conditions of approval are binding and must be adhered to. Public Works staff identified 2 additional conditions of approval that are to be added to the planning review resolution of the specific plan area. The applicant is in agreement with those conditions, and if you would like to find out further information on those that have just been added, a member of our Public Works team can help answer those questions for you. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Thank you. Any questions, Commissioner?
I just had one question. In fact, you just made that final statement. If we can get a little bit more information as to the mitigation measures outlined in number 35 of the memo we received.
Of course, I will invite Roldan from our Public Works Department to address those. And then also the city's third-party consultant traffic engineer is available via Zoom as well to answer any additional questions.
Thank you. Mr. Roldan?
Roldan Lopez, Associate Engineer. So what exactly is the question?
On the memo we received that the applicant shall construct all mitigation measures identified in the traffic study for the proposed project. Just wanted to get a little bit more insight as to what those mitigation measures are and what was identified in that study.
Well, it's anything that was approved, on the traffic study. If the traffic study stated that they needed to contribute additional monies towards a signal within an intersection. So all that will have to be complied.
Got it.
And our traffic engineer is the one that usually reviews and approves the traffic study. So we just want to make sure that that everything that was approved within the traffic study it's in compliance with the conditions.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Lopez.
Okay, thank you.
At this time, we're going to go ahead and call up the applicant.
Let's see. We have a presentation. Good evening, everyone. Commissioners, thank you for having me. My name is Augie Gomez. I'm one of the principals of the McRae Gomez Companies. We are the property owners along with our partners, Creation Equity, based out of Scottsdale, Arizona. I have a small presentation here for you today, and mostly it's just to give a little bit of color on what, an extension of what Kendra has so eloquently presented to you all today. But I wanted to thank you for allowing us to speak today allowing me to speak today on the Indio Canyon project. A little bit of background. My partner Ron and I have owned this property for over 10 years in various partnerships and watched the area thrive. So we're really excited about bringing the project to life. We also own other similar projects in the city of Indio. And in general, we're very patient and methodical about our investing, always taking a long-term view of the area's potential, and Indio Canyon has really been no different. One of the many reasons why Indio Canyon is so special to us is that we really think that the project embodies synergistic potential when municipalities, landowners/developers share a vision and work collaboratively to bring the project to life. We've held meetings with staff, members of council, city management, and most importantly, the residents of our surrounding community here in Indio, and it's really helped us shape the project. Finally, we applaud the city of Indio for its vision of connected neighborhood, because as this designation, it really serves as a key cornerstone for the Indio Canyon vision. But I'll talk a little bit about the Indio Canyon project. First, we'll talk a bit about our goals. Really, this is next-gen housing to provide Indio residents with the next generation of housing that serves the needs of those connected to the local community through live, work, and play lifestyle. This is really attainable luxury. This is not, by definition, affordable product. This is considered luxury rental product, but that is attainable, to the target demographic and the needs of the community. So it aims to provide the attainable luxury rental experience, and we're offering a range of housing product types and amenities. We like to call this enhancement by activation. Indio Canyon is strategically located, given its proximity to major transportation corridors and retail amenities, like Indio Town Center. So the project that will build out, we believe, will enhance the surrounding communities and benefit neighboring retail areas and businesses. Just as a little bit of background, the build-to-rent project, which by definition this project is the fastest growing housing type in the United States. John Burns, a consulting company based out of California that is the preeminent consultant in this product type, says there's about $60 billion of capital allocated towards this particular product type. So as you can see, there's a heavy demand for something that is really what we would call transitional. It would be folks coming out of traditional multifamily and wanting something a little bit larger, but maybe not quite ready for home ownership, or those who have owned projects or have owned homes for a long time, maybe ultimately empty nesters who are looking for much more of a lock and leave type product, right? And maybe they're looking to sell their homes and do some traveling and have an easy place to live. So this is again talking about the synergistic potential of municipalities working together with landowners. This is the general plan and the vision of the city of Indio: connected neighborhood, providing a broad range of moderate intensity housing choices within a walkable neighborhood setting within a short distance of goods and services. Housing types include single-family detached dwellings of various sizes, courtyard apartments, condos, medium-sized, multifamily buildings designed for neighborhood compatibility. We believe that Indio Canyon hits this target. Here's a specific plan you can see on the eastern 30 acres. That's phase one. That'd be the current plan that we're discussing, and then phase two is a future plan that will have its own design review. It's ultimately planned for 1,200 high-quality rental units. There's a unified design and streetscape for the entire project. We have fully landscaped roadway widening and improvements. And again, as mentioned, phase one is the eastern 30 acres, while the western will be developed with a separate design review. Here's our site plan. Contemplates 340 units, 195 detached, and 145 attached townhomes, clubhouse, gym, pool, barbecue, sport courts, dog parks, gardens, professionally managed third party. Here's a couple more visuals of our clubhouse. 6,000 square feet approximately, management and leasing offices, community lounge, fitness studio with lockers, secured package delivery area, and cafe. Here's a few watercolor renderings, and this is a few renderings of our townhomes here. 145 units, 59 one-bedrooms, 42 two-bedrooms, and 44 three-bedrooms. Backyard patios, modern aesthetics and finishes, again, community managed and maintained. These are our detached units here. You'll see in the backyard, there's a little bit more of desert landscaping, but actually what we'll contemplate is within the backyards will likely be artificial turf. And then there'll be natural grass areas as well throughout the community. Here's a little bit more about our amenities. Local Central Park providing continuous access to the other amenities within the community, and then pocket parks that are easily accessible to units outside of the central area. Here's a little bit about our community outreach. And in March of 2023, we held a meeting at the College of the Desert and invited any property owners within 500 feet and then to discuss the project, answer any questions. And finally, we offered presentations to the surrounding HOAs. So this would be Haciendas, Via Estates at Shadow Hills and Shadow Ranch. IndioCanyon.com is our website for any additional information that anybody would be looking for with respect to the project. Here is our prospective milestones. Ultimately, we would look to begin construction sometime at the early part of 2024 with phase one completion in Q1 of 2026. And thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez, for your presentation.
Yeah.
Is there any comments from Mr. Gomez?
No questions, just comments. Thank you for the presentation.
Sure.
I really like the mid-century modern look, the breeze block and everything kind of brings back a little bit of like the Palm Springs feel, and these definitely have a luxurious feel to them. And thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the presentation. Very impressive. Question relating to parking. Earlier in the presentation from staff, there was presentation that included parking, but can we get some metrics on that in terms of the parking opportunities for residents and whether or not the garages are going to be outfitted for parking?
Sure.
I think is my understanding.
If you don't mind, I'll defer to some of our design consultants with more of the specifics.
The proposed parking meets the requirements under the Connected Neighborhood standards for the city. That would be 1.5 parking spots for a 1-bedroom unit, 2 spots for a 2-bedroom, and 2 spots for 3 or more bedrooms.
Thank you, Kendra.
If the applicant would like to answer that question a bit further with a bit more detail, you guys can do so, but I just wanted to note that their parking requirements are consistent with the Connected Neighborhoods 20 standards.
I'm okay unless there's an additional question.
No, that was it, actually. I
Okay.
just wanted to break down, because that was going to be my next follow-up question. What were the allotments for each of the different types? So, in phase one. So,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you, Kendra. Did it?
I'm pretty sure some of our, we'll be hearing from some of our residents that wrote in, so we'll probably call you back in just a minute.
That would be fine.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and open up the public comment section. To ensure that all speakers have the opportunity to be heard before the city council, if you can please complete one of these cards and turn them into our city clerk. And for the first speaker, we have public comment is Pastor Carl McPeters.
Good evening, commissioners. I specifically put a request in to speak on a non-item, but I want to speak on this particular item also. They parallel, and I won't be long. As to the item at hand, the project, I'm a resident at 42873 Cowboy Court. I'm a homeowner in the Shadow Ranch housing development. I have great concerns about this project. One, to the south of this project is one of the oldest communities in Indio, and I know because my first home was in that community. It was called the Reservation. I didn't know it. I was new to the area, and but I loved it. So it's an old neighborhood, old homes, and then Shadow Ranch is would be to the north of this project. So sandwiched in between one of the oldest communities, the newest communities, property value is a great concern, and putting some, and forgive me, don't mean no respect, what I consider is going to be nothing but some Section 8 rentals, ultimately, is what this project is going to turn out to be. I've been here a long time. They got to be affordable, and people having a hard time buying houses and affording house payments. And this type of development, it looks nice on paper. So I'm very concerned about this project. I'm totally against it. I don't think that location. I'm not against rentals. I believe people need to have affordable rent. I believe in rent control and people being able to rent in nice communities. And so again, I got some concerns about the power grid in this city. That I'm being told by other developers who are putting in for housing projects on the west end of Avenue 43, where I have a development right now, a church in Northgate area that cannot get a permit to build because the Acre Center has consumed all of the power grid on this end of the valley. And so they're being denied applications to build houses, and we're gonna now, but we can build some apartments with the same lack of power grid. And so I know, and I'm gonna switch gears a little bit because my concern is dealing with the power grid and how we can propose to develop, how many, is it 40 acres, 20 acres of apartments, and yet we can't approve development of homes, which the city supposed to get their revenues from rooftops. So we're denying developers and the city to increase their coffers with rooftops for apartments. And again, I just don't think it makes any kind of sense. I don't know how Indio lost or gave up, or IID allowed the power grid to Acre Center with Palm Springs is getting all the accolades from and the resources, and yet Indio has been drained of a power grid for the Acre Center. And so, and my other concern, not only as a homeowner, but I'm a business, I'm involved in a partnership to bring EVs, chargers, and a fleet of chargers, a grid in, I was hoping to do my first fleet of chargers in the city of Indio. So I met with the city manager and economic developer, Mr. Morgan, about bringing Five Star Energy Solutions to the city of Indio to start. So personally, I'm personally involved in investing. I'm an investor and a partner in Five Star Energy Solution. We were told.
Council, excuse me, commissioners, is there a motion to extend? We've passed the 3-minute mark.
Can we motion to extend one?
Right, but I submitted one for a non-item for 3 minutes, and so I have
I understand.
3 minutes.
Sir, you only have 3 minutes to speak on this item.
I won't argue with you, and I appreciate the courtesy, and I'll wrap it up. Everybody spoke a whole lot longer than I have.
But there is an opportunity, Mr. McPeters, to speak on a non-agenda after this item, so you can continue to speak on the other item if you want, but on this item, your comments would need to wrap up pertaining to this item.
To the item regarding the housing
project,
development.
correct.
Yes,
If you can just
I can revisit the EV.
Yes.
later, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Later
That's the
tonight or later another day?
Well, we can certainly cross our bridge, but if I think the commissioner has heard your comments on the project, so you've exceeded your 3 minutes, so if you would allow other speakers to come forward and give their comments, that would be
got it.
much appreciated.
I will wrap it up.
Okay, thank you.
But I'm very concerned about conflicting issues with this city and the power grid as you can develop rentals but not houses, and then treat businesses that want to come into the city like they're bringing COVID into the city. That's how the city manager acted when we made this proposal of bringing EV Five Star Solutions to this city. So I'll wrap it up there, and I'll continue and come back at another time, and I won't hold nobody else up. But I thank you so much. I'm pretty adamant about and very concerned about this as a homeowner and a potential business owner as to this city's position that I have, that I'm real concerned. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Pastor McPeters. Next request to speak, Clifford Agdepa.
Good evening. My name is Clifford. I'm a resident of Shadow Ranch development, where this gentleman wants to build their apartments. I'm here to say that I do not want that to happen in our neighborhood, because all the houses, there are houses there, not apartment complexes, housing. I'm all for apartments, but not in that area. Maybe over there by Golf Center Parkway, behind the AMPM, that's a good spot there, or by the Walmart, that's a good spot over there too. But in that area, it is all housing. There's no apartments there. Yes, phase 1 looks nice, 340 units, all decked out, all nice, all from Scottsdale, Arizona. That's where the gentleman's from. So it's nice, but the second phase, the 1,200 units, that's what concerns me. They say that each resident will have 1.5 parking, and what are they going to park at? She said that we have street parking. So that area, if you have been there, it's only a 2-lane road, You have to extend that. And they also said that they're not even sure they're gonna have a, stoplights. We need that there if they're gonna build that there. And also, if you look at the map that they had, phase 2 is right adjacent to the freeway. So that apartment complex is gonna be right next to that freeway. And so if I was a apartment renter, I wouldn't want to live next to a freeway, right next to it. There's no buffer, there's nothing. And also, like just the gentleman said here, one of the old residents, the reservation, they're not too kind of new development. And then now we're gonna build that there. It's not saying that it's a bad neighborhood, but we should not build apartments there because it's all housing. That's all housing there. There's nothing else there but just housing. And all for about apartments, but not in that area. Go out there. I invite you to come out there and look out with me and see. Picture 1,200 units and 340 units in that 60-acre parcel with all the parking. Because each house is going to have like what? 4, a mom, a father, a daughter, a son, 4 people in each apartment. So what's 1,200 times 4? What's that? 4,800 people. I'm just trying to do math in my head, but it's a lot of people in that little section there. Yes, it'll be nice for the retail in that area, but it'll be too crowded, sir, ma'am. It'll be just too crowded. Just too crowded right there. And so, please go out there and look and picture for yourself if apartments are going to look nice. Well, his phase 1 apartments or townhouses are going to look nice, but the second phase, the 1,200 units, we don't want to make the assumption that they're going to be Section 8, but the likelihood of it, it's going to happen, and we just don't want that in our neighborhood. That's all, and it's just too crowded. Pick another spot in Indio by Golf Center Parkway behind the AMPM. I believe that's sectioned out for apartment complexes. And also by the Walmart. There's a big area out there. There's housing out there, but it's not as close to the Shadow Ranch development where I live. Okay. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Aguirre. Is there anyone else wish to speak on this item? Please give your public comments to Jessica.
I do have an online public comment. Alma Gomez, I'm going to go ahead and allow you to speak. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and commissioners. My name is Alma Gomez. I live at 83400 Skyline Trail Road within the Shadow Ranch community. I'm here tonight to voice my concern and opposition to the change in the Calhoun Avenue 43 project from a for sale townhouse condos to rental project. In my opinion, buying a condo or a townhouse, is an investment opportunity for our community. Real estate appreciates over time. Property values increase. A buyer could really see profit from buying. I mean, it would be better if they were homes, but at the very least, they're purchasing. In addition, homeowners would be eligible for tax deductions on their taxes, such as mortgage interest and property taxes. Plus, the mortgage payments would contribute to the building of equity. I've built out a lot of equity. I've been in Shadow Ranch 17 years, which can then serve as a savings over time for the buyer and the community. And as an owner, you have more control over the property. You can make customizations, renovations. You also have the stability in terms of not being subject to rental increases or changes of ownership over time. If you buy and plan to stay in one place, you for a long period of time, say 5 to 7 years, this leads to pride in ownership, a benefit for the entire community. And our community is a lovely community. We all walk, we take our dogs out, we go to the park. But taking away this opportunity to buy is a financial mistake for our community. My niece was interested in this project until we heard it was turning into a rental. And when I seen the layout, I was a little concerned because I'm sorry, I did not know there were other meetings. Well, I did, but I didn't go because it was a rental. Anyhow, the garages, if they're going to be carports that all face the park, haciendas, and Shadow Ranch, that will not present a nice view for us as we walk the community. Lastly, whichever way you vote, please be mindful of the traffic issues on Calhoun, both on 42 and 43. Calhoun is wedged in between these two very heavily trafficked streets where people go 60, 40, 50, whatever they want in that area. And I have seen numerous accidents or near accidents as well, because people are speeding down this Avenue 42, a 2-lane street, Avenue 43, and 42 is a little bit wider. But this is not a large street, and it's not a through street. It funnels into a small little corridor by the 24-hour fitness. So I want to thank you for your time. Please, but just know that I am not really happy with the way this project is turning out.
Thank you. Any more other calls?
There are no other online comments. Written comments were distributed to the Planning Commission and posted on our website.
Okay. We have 2 more comments. If I can please have Mr. Derek Brown.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Derek Brown. I live exactly across the street from where this project is going to happen. The park is right in front of me, and I'm terribly afraid of that my property value may go down. Also, the traffic, which has been stated there, that road is not fit for any extra traffic that it already has now. It's only 1 lane each way. And like the young lady said just a minute ago, it narrows down to a corridor right behind 24-hour fitness where you're zigzagging in to even get through there to go to Winco or whatever shopping is behind there. That does not work. Adding 1,200 units and you put a family of 4 in there, you're talking 5,000 people close to living in that area, which is going to be well over congested. I'm also worried about the park that's across from me, because if it turns into that this is not high-end luxury and it's Section 8, and then we have Section 8, I don't want to, characterize everybody, but that means that park would diminish. It's a fine park. There's many people that come there each and every day, holidays, and it's a beautiful park. It's well kept, and I would hate to see it turn into a crack place where needles and pipes and things are left out there that is not there now. I feel I live right across the street, and so I'm able to walk literally 100 feet from there to the park and be able to take my granddaughter there on a daily basis. And I would hate to see my property value go down due to housing that is not, at least if they were selling it and not renting it, I would feel much better, because I would feel that the value would at least be upheld. That value has continued to go up. I've been living there since those houses were first built in that section, which is from 2017 until this very moment, and my value has continued to go up. And I would hate to see that it would go down, and that I planned on letting this be my forever home. I love the home I'm in. I love where I'm at. We have a great community. There's law enforcement there. I'm actually a law enforcement officer. I work for the state, and I've been there for 24 years. And there's several other law enforcement right along that same front street as me. And I talked to some of them. Unfortunately, they didn't know about this meeting, and I kind of got wind of it just last week. I guess a letter came out, and I just so happened to get wind that this was even going on. I saw the sign, but was not aware that it was actually happening or what was going on. And so I came tonight just to voice my concerns of this project. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Next, we have Mr. Bill Collins.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Bill Collins. I live at Four Seasons Terra-Lago, which driving-wise is a little bit, but the way the crow flies is not that far from this project. Would have been disappointed that the developer, if I understood him correctly, said that they contacted people within a 500-foot radius. I live outside that, but definitely have an interest because the development will impact where I live, impact my community. It says here that it's a rental project, not for sale product. Your staff indicated that, at least at the beginning, there would be no traffic lights. This project is not consistent with the neighborhoods around it. And so I'm asking that you vote no on it for those reasons. Like my friend the pastor pointed out, we do have an issue with power right now. I know a joint power agreement was formed between the City of Indio and Imperial Irrigation District, and a surcharge will be, if it's not already charged to all residents of Indio. Call it what you want. That's nothing more than a tax increase or a rate increase, I should say. So while we got a ton of rain, it didn't do much to raise the level in Lake Mead. Ultimately, and I understand the water situation, but ultimately, Indio's water comes from the Colorado River, which continues to be overdraft. The state of California, Coachella Valley, the City of Indio does not have a housing issue. There's a population issue. There's just, while geographically California's a large state, it simply doesn't have the resources, and it was never intended to support a population of 39 million people. My neighbors are from Seattle, Spokane, Bay Area, San Fernando, Orange County. They pretty much all said the same thing. We moved here because we wanted to get away from crime. We wanted to get away from congestion. We wanted to get away from the traffic problems. We wanted to get away from the crowds. But if the Planning Commission and the City Council just rubber stamps these developments, in a few years, we're going to have those same issues. It's already a traffic problem on Interstate 10 into Moreno Valley and on to Los Angeles. We have air quality issues. I mean, we need to be smart about it. I'm not opposed to growth, but just rubber stamping projects for the sake of building them or because that's the easy way out is the wrong thing to do. We need to be smart about our growth, not just automatically approve these projects. And again, this project is just not compatible with the neighborhood they're looking to build it in. And if I understand my time's up, but I understood him to say that it would be basically cared for by the residents. Everybody's job becomes a nobody's job with time. So while it looks good on paper, I could see this thing quickly deteriorating and not being what we need in that neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Do we have anyone else?
No, Chair, but I think it is appropriate. We usually allow the applicant to
Yes.
come up and respond to public comments. So I think it'd be, if there's no other public comments, I think it'd be appropriate to invite the applicant back up.
Mr. Gomez, would you please?
Thank you all for letting me speak again. Several concerns, and I appreciate our neighbors commenting on the project and bringing forth their concerns. I think it's important, and I think that's one of the things that that attracts us to this property that we've owned now for well over a decade is an engaged community. One of the things that was brought up was parking facing the street or parking facing the park. There is no parking on the project that's either on the street or garages entering off of the street, right? When we talk about street parking, it's internal, right? So everything along the outside of the project is fully landscaped. In addition to that, there was another discussion around traffic. It should be known that as a part of our development, we're actually expanding those streets and widening them. So it will go from 2 lanes to 4 lanes ultimately, right? In addition to that, of course, we have traffic engineers, that this is what they do every day. They're the ones that provide the recommendations and the requirements that ultimately suit a project of this scale. There was a discussion about the project in phase 2 being 1,200 units. It's actually the entire 60 acres is 1,200 units. It's not 341 and then 1,200. So I wanted to make that clear. There was also another comment about possibly Section 8. This is clearly not a Section 8 project. It also should be, I wanted to make the commissioners and everyone here aware that build-to-rent product traditionally garners a 5 to 20% premium in rents relative to traditional multifamily units, right? So not only is the vast majority of our project not traditional multifamily, what we are offering is typically the rents are about 5 to 20% higher, depending upon the development. There was also another comment about us changing from townhome for sale to for rent. That is also inaccurate. We were never intending, nor did we submit a plan or a package that originally intended to be for sale. So there was no change there. Our submittal has been consistent throughout. There was another comment regarding it being managed by the residents. That's also inaccurate. It is going to be third-party professionally managed, and there will be management on site at all times. So that's another one. I wanted to talk a little bit about the intent of the project and with respect to the rental rates and what it looks like relative to the market. We should keep in mind that we've been watching, my partners and I have been watching the projects go on, whether it was D.R. Horton and Haciendas or others being built. This is the kind of things that we track every day. When the vast majority of those projects were being built out north of us, this is post the great financial crisis, right? The vast majority of those were being sold at a price point of somewhere around $350,000 to about $450,000. If you took a 30-year fixed mortgage in that time frame and a 5 years, let's call it from basically when they started building again, 2014, 2015, to pre-COVID, which is about when they built out, if you took a 30-year fixed mortgage at the time in which the interest rates were about 3 to 4%, which is when the vast majority of people bought across the street from us, they're all looking at about a $2,000 a month mortgage. If you look at our base rent for our project today, we're planning somewhere around $2,600 to $2,800 a month, all the way up to about $3,200. So the vast majority of the units when we rent them out will actually be more on a month-to-month basis for rent than a lot of the folks across the street are actually paying in their mortgages. In addition to that, I agree with the gentleman. We have no interest in properties being devalued. I can promise you that, right? I mean, we have millions of dollars invested into this project, and it should be known that in the event that when we build out phase 1, that's about a $125 million investment in 30 acres. So if there is a group that is not interested in properties being devalued, I can tell you it's us, confidently. And we hope that it will continue to be a value add. We're confident that it will continue to be a value add. And if there's any other comments, Nicole, you're happy to come up and answer some of the little bit more of the specifics. Thank you.
Members of the commission, thank you for allowing us to speak. My name's Nicole Christ. I'm with Terra Nova Planning, and I wanted to address a couple of the technical questions. The issue of energy, I'm sorry to say that IID, as you know, does have energy issues. The way that power is distributed, it is true that on the west side of Indio and into the Palm Desert market, because of Acrashore, there is no capacity left. However, we do have and continue to coordinate with IID. We have a will serve letter, and they have sufficient capacity from the facilities that they have in this portion of Indio to serve this project, not just the first phase, but the second phase as well. Commissioner, I also wanted to address your questions regarding the traffic mitigation. The traffic study calls for a number of recommendations, which include the full half-widths on both sides of Calhoun for phase 1 and phase 2, and on the south side of Avenue 43. That will be general plan build-out improvements. There will be, it'll go from a right now it's a cross-stop traffic stop at Calhoun and Avenue 43. That'll become a four-way stop so that all directions stop at that corner, which will be a really good traffic calming effect for the trips that go through this area. And I will point out that currently the shopping center attracts about 4,000 trips a day that are coming in the back way at the shopping center. And we'll only be adding to that about 800 trips on Avenue 43 going into the shopping center in terms of the scale of the two. We also will be contributing to the installation of a signal at Avenue 42 in Calhoun. That is one of the conditions that Public Works added this evening that are a requirement of our traffic study. And it is recognized that in the long term, because of growth not just on this property but in this area, that a traffic signal is required at Avenue 42 in Calhoun. And I'm glad to answer any other technical questions if you have them.
I just have a question, Ms. Christ. Can, just for the public record, for that are watching or listening in, I know what a will-serve letter is, but can you explain what a will-serve letter is from IID?
I'm sorry. IID has indicated that they have, in writing, that they have capacity to accommodate the project from the existing transformers that they have in this area of the city. Power is divided into compact areas from substations and transformers that they place in various locations. And in this area of Indio, there is sufficient capacity for additional development.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
And just for clarification, and thank you, Ms. Nicole, that signal, that traffic signal is on 43 in Calhoun, correct?
42.
It's 42?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Memo reads 43. Just FYI.
It's 42.
Yes, Roland Lopez, Associate Planner. Like I say, there's two conditions. One of them is a contribution of $150,000 for a future signal. The other one is for them to comply with all the approved mitigation measures approved by the traffic study. So whatever the traffic study recommends, they will have to comply with that.
And just for the record, I believe it is Avenue 42 in Calhoun, so that was a typographical error, but it would be a future signal at Avenue 42 that they would be financially contributed to, is Avenue 42 in Calhoun, correct?
No,
Avenue
it's Avenue 43 in Calhoun.
Okay, so it is Avenue 43.
Mm-hmm. That's the one that they're making the contribution now. However, they would also have to comply with the mitigation measures.
Ms. Christ?
I'm sorry. I read it as 42. I advised my client that it was 42. The traffic study does not require a traffic signal at 43, and we would oppose that condition. I'm sorry.
So for the record, I think it's just to make sure that everyone, Planning Commission, members of the public are on the same page. There is a future signal at Avenue 43 in Calhoun that is being considered that Public Works is requesting a financial contribution towards of $150,000. And then separately, Avenue 42 in Calhoun. So we have two separate traffic signalization. Can you clarify that, Mr. Lopez?
Sure. There's two conditions. One of them, the contribution is for them to pay $150,000 towards a future signal, and that is at the intersection of Avenue 43rd and Calhoun Street. However, they would also have to contribute to other signals within that area, and the traffic study, specifically talks about the percentages of what they will need to pay.
Okay, so for the record, I think we have two different traffic signal situations, and certainly not going to speak for Ms. Crest, but I think one that she is she's stating a position towards, and I'll let her.
Thank you, sir. The traffic signal calls for the need for a four-way stop at 43rd and Calhoun. There's no rational nexus for a signal at Avenue 43 in Calhoun. Neither did the traffic impact analysis support a traffic signal at 43rd and Calhoun. And so we would and I do apologize to my client as well as the commission. I read the memorandum as a contribution to Avenue 42, which we do agree to. We understand we're responsible for that. But there is no nexus for a signal at Avenue 43.
Thank you for that.
Chris, can I clarify something? So we're looking at the initial study. The traffic study says to address, and I'm just reading an excerpt, this is regarding Avenue 42 in Calhoun, to address these operational deficiencies for existing plus project and long-range future conditions, a traffic signal at the intersection of Calhoun Street and Avenue 42 must be installed. The project's fair share financial contribution was calculated in the traffic study and is included as a mitigation measure TRA-1. With implementation of this mitigation measure, impacts associated with the city's general plan policy for intersection turning volumes and LOS will be reduced to less than significant. So it appears, and I'm just reading an excerpt, but it appears that the traffic study does identify the need for a traffic signal and a financial contribution for Avenue 42 in Calhoun.
That is correct.
Okay, so
and we have no issue with that at all.
All right, and so now the question then is Avenue 43 in Calhoun.
And I can refer the commission and staff to the traffic study, table 5 on page 19, which calls for improvements to an all-way stop at Avenue 43 and Calhoun, and not a traffic study. I'm not a traffic signal.
Can you read into the record the statement from the traffic study for Avenue 43 in Calhoun once more into the record for the commission?
Yes, sir. Page 19 of the traffic impact analysis, table 5. The professional traffic engineer determined that in order to reach the city's level of acceptable level of service, an always stop in the long-term condition was required at the corner of Calhoun and Avenue 43, and a traffic signal was required at the corner of Avenue 42 and Calhoun.
So, and I may ask our Assistant City Attorney to weigh in, but typically under the U.S. Supreme Court case law and also implementing state legislation, in order for the city to require implementation of an infrastructure improvement such as a traffic signal, there has to be a nexus between project impact and the need for the infrastructure improvement. So if we have accepted the traffic study with no demonstration, which I believe is what we have done, with no demonstration of impact to Avenue 43 in Calhoun, then, and I'm just saying this theoretically, we still need to vet this for a second more, but theoretically, the city would not have legal nexus authority, and I'm going to turn it over to the Assistant City Attorney just to kind of make sure I didn't state anything wrong on the record.
So I would need to review the exact language within this traffic study as well as what we're requesting. I think if what has been identified by the applicant here is accurate, we could revise those conditions of approval to indicate the traffic signal at Avenue 42 and Calhoun. I would need to, again, speak with city staff as well as review the underlying documentation and look into, I'm not sure if it's identified what the cost of the four-way stop at Calhoun and Avenue 43 would be, but that would be something to review as well. Maybe potentially on a recess, just because this is a new issue for me.
So staff would recommend a 5-minute recess so we can consult with the city attorney, also the applicant, just to make sure that we all are on the same proverbial page about this particular issue, and we will come back in 5 minutes to advise. So if we can request that.
Yes, so go ahead and close the public comment.
We would keep the public comment. We're
open.
requesting a
Okay.
5-minute recess, keep the public hearing open to allow the opportunity for staff and applicant
Okay.
to confer.
Do I need to make a motion for that?
You do
Just go
not.
ahead.
You just need
Okay.
to just
Fine.
note it for the record, 5-minute recess.
Take a 5-minute recess.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we're going to go ahead and reconvene the meeting. Ms. Chris, you have the floor.
I have no additional statements, but I'm glad to answer any other questions.
Can staff
Sure.
present us with the
What happened?
findings?
Sure. So to put it simply, recommend a condition of approval, the additional condition of approval number 36, staff is recommending that condition be struck. That was in the memo to you that was provided by Kendra. And so that condition will be struck. Condition number 35, I believe, will be retained. And I think the applicant is in agreement with that.
We are.
Will there still be future traffic signal on Avenue 42 in Calhoun or 43 in Calhoun?
So what the project is required to do is to be in conformance with the traffic study findings for mitigation measures. So there will be a future signal at Avenue 42 in Calhoun. The applicant will be responsible for a fair share contribution that we can legally require. Right now, the traffic study, and please correct me if I'm wrong, either Nicole or Dan, the traffic study only requires an always stop, which is typically stop signs or some other similar form of traffic control at Avenue 43 in Calhoun. And that the traffic study and our consulting traffic engineer, Mark Greenwood, is available virtually to provide more technical, but in summary fashion, they would be doing the always stop action at Avenue 43 in Calhoun, and they would contribute to our future traffic signal at Avenue 42 in Calhoun.
And that would be covered by the condition number 35. So just to clarify that, that is already subsumed in that condition. So that's why condition number 36 is being struck, I'm not sure which one. But yes, just for the record so that that's clear. The other signal that was discussed at Avenue 42 is in the mitigation measures within the traffic study, so.
It's also listed as a condition of approval or mentioned in the findings in resolution number 2066 that the project must comply with all mitigation measures identified in the initial study with mitigated negative declaration.
Any further questions? I have a question for Mr. Gomez, really, if you can please come up. I guess my question, and after hearing I want to kind of save this to the end.
Sure.
Can you kind of tell us who are your normal renters that will typically rent from who are your potential renters?
So let me just, before I just, I'll tell you who we are targeting. Who we are targeting is, we're looking for, our general target for demographics would be your firefighters and police officers and nurses and people who are looking to establish themselves in the community, but probably haven't necessarily found that long-term commitment home yet, right? But with respect to, generally speaking, we actually did a demographic analysis of who we're going to be targeting within a 2-mile radius. The average median age is about roughly 31 years old. So the household size is about 3.5 people, and about 31% of those households rent. So the primary renter is going to be a younger family, is what we're anticipating. But again, what we found historically in communities like this is it's typically younger families moving out of traditional apartments and wanting something a little bit more spacious, a little bit more, more amenitized, a little bit more luxurious, or folks who are moving out of larger homes and wanting to downsize into something that's still nice, amenitized, but a little bit more lock and leave. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez.
Sure.
Any questions for Mr. Gomez?
Before you close the public hearing and start deliberation, there's a couple of points staff wanted to add to the conversation. I'm going to make a couple points and turn over to Principal Planner Reef. First and foremost, I just want to make it clear for the benefit of the commission and the public that unfortunately, based on federal and state laws, property value impact is not a consideration for a land use decision. So while we respect and appreciate the concerns about property value impacts, you as a commission in making recommendations are not able to legally consider that as a valid basis for land use decision making. Second, the city does not specify what type of market an applicant can target their project towards. So for example, the applicant could do 100% market, could do 100% affordable, could do some mixture thereof, but we do not specify the target population. The city does not have an inclusionary housing ordinance where we say that a certain percentage of the project has to be affordable. So that is a business decision of the applicant, not only this applicant, but any applicant for a residential project in the city of Indio. The city's housing element that you participated in the adoption of, that we are legally required to plan for housing units under the laws of the state of California, does specify a goal of having housing product type diversification. So in addition to traditional single-family or multifamily, it does propose and seeks for the city to diversify its housing product type. This build-to-rent project, as proposed, would be one of that, would be a diversified housing product type under the city's housing element. So I just wanted to put that as information into the record, but probably the most important point is property value impact cannot be a basis for any decision you might make this evening. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Principal Planner Reef.
I just wanted to provide some clarification for the record. There was a resident that made a comment that carports are going to be causing headlight glare into their neighboring properties. All proposed garages are enclosed. There will not be any carports. There will also not be any on-street parking. All parking will be within the community.
Thank you, Kendra. Any further comments?
At this, okay.
I had a quick question for staff, and thank you for that clarification. So just to reiterate, on one end, the city of Indio, we must build housing.
The city of Indio does not.
As a result of, yes, correct.
We have to plan for housing, but we, the city, do not have to legally build it, but we have to legally plan for.
Correct.
So we planned for, in our adopted housing element that you participated in the development of, 7,812 new housing units in the city of Indio between October 2021, October 2029. Those numbers, we didn't make those up. Those were provided to us by the Southern California Association of Governments, who in turn got those numbers from the state of California.
And thank you, because that was the number. I just wanted for the public to understand the criticalness of the need for housing. And then secondly, Kevin, if you can elaborate a little bit on, because I think there was a question from the public about the density of the project and how it meets the criteria based on our guidelines.
Correct. So in September 2019, the City of Indio City Council adopted the General Plan 2040. This established, in essence, the land use paradigm for the city of Indio for the next 20 years. Across the board, this plan looked at increased density throughout the city. And that was in part to accomplish these housing goals that are imposed on us by the state of California. With all due respect towards a public commenter, the state of California has identified a housing crisis and has legally obligated cities to plan for that. So we had to plan for those 7,812 housing units. So in this instance, this particular property received a connected neighborhood high general plan land use designation, which basically indicates higher density up to 20 dwelling units to the acre. When we adopted the new zoning regulations of the city that, again, this planning commission worked on, and those became effective in October of 2022, although this is a specific plan, the specific plan had to be consistent with the general plan, and it used the Unified Development Code that you participated in as guidance for that. So there is the intent for higher density on these 60 acres, which is the equivalent of the 1,200 units that the applicant has proposed. It is consistent with the density provisions of the general plan that and as you may remember, and I'll just reiterate for the record, a specific plan has to be consistent by state law with the general plan of a city or a county. So this specific plan was analyzed for consistency first and foremost with the general plan, and it complied.
Thank you, Kevin. And then my final question is, there was another comment that was made in relationship to other communities that are going to be around the area that are consideration for building. And for the record, what's the city's role in selecting that land usage? I know it doesn't really have a role in that sense because it has to do with the owners of that property, namely. And then the final question is, what are the properties under consideration right now that are being built right, I think somebody asked about, right across the street from the AMPM?
So I'll answer your first question. So you are correct. The city does not identify properties for development. We establish the land use rules and regulations that govern development of those properties. And an applicant, whether it be for market rate housing, affordable housing, if it's commercially zoned property, commercial projects, they will make application to the city and they go through a public consideration process, for example, like we're doing this evening. And so it is a transparent process. And we as staff are legally obligated to invite the public and make them aware. We do that through various mediums. We publish in the newspaper that we're legally required to do. We send notices out to applicants within 500 feet. I think in this instance, we did 1,000 feet. So we, the staff, took it upon ourselves to do more than what we were legally obligated to do because we recognized this was a project, an impactful project. And then we post the signs on the property. That's actually something new that the city started doing this year. We didn't used to post properties, but we wanted to find other ways to make the public aware because not everyone, unfortunately, checks their mail and not everyone looks at the newspaper. So those notice signs are another way to do it. So that is the vehicle that applicants start a project. They have to determine if they comply with the adopted regulations of the city. They go through a public review process, and then you as a commission and or the city council, depending on who the final decision maker is going to have to make legally based findings. Unfortunately, sometimes those legally based findings don't always address the concerns of the public, and we apologize for that, but we operate in a very legalistic, narrow world when it comes to land use decision making. And we have to follow in essence, the rules that are put upon us either by federal and or state regulations and or court cases. There are several U.S. Supreme Court cases that have told local governments what they can and cannot do. That was the legal nexus reference I made earlier in the meeting, but that is how we operate.
And just to piggyback upon Mr. Snyder's comments, and to support the fact that the state has really narrowed the manner in which local governments can deny applications. Not to say that we're doing that here, but simply to piggyback upon what Mr. Snyder was saying, that we can't consider the potential impact on the housing, the housing surrounding that area. But we can make particularized findings that relate specifically to, for example, the traffic study that we just referenced. We need to utilize the studies and the hard numbers within the staff reports in order to make the findings. And those are reflected in the resolutions before you tonight. And so I just wanted to make that point that there are just fairly narrow considerations to be made as it relates to housing approvals.
And if I could add, Commission, one additional point to supplement Jillian's comments. So there's, in essence, two approval actions before you this evening. One is to recommend to the City Council whatever your recommendation is on the specific plan, which is the land use regulatory document. In essence, what that specific plan does is it rezones the property, and if ultimately that specific plan is adopted, that's the land use regulations that will govern the 60 acres. That's one action you're being asked to take this evening, and that's a recommendation to the City Council. The City Council will then hold its own public hearing and go through the same process that you're going through this evening. The public will be invited to attend and to voice their comments and concerns to the City Council. The City Council is legally obligated, just like you are, to consider the project in the manner that both the Assistant City Attorney and I just described. But the other part of this is what we call the planning review. The planning review is your area of decision making where you would make a decision tonight on that phase one, the design elements of that. That decision that you make this evening is contingent upon the City Council adopting the specific plan. So if for some reason they didn't, then your approval of the phase one design would be null and void. But if the council does adopt the specific plan, then in essence your approval of the phase one would be an active approval. So for the benefit of the commission, for the public, we have two actions before you this evening. One will go on to City Council, no matter what your recommendation is, and then the other will hold basically for the outcome of that recommendation decision by the council.
Thank you, Kevin. Any further comments?
Just to answer the second half of your question, Commissioner Fajardo, the area surrounding AMPM off of Gulf Center and Avenue 44 that was referenced, it's currently zoned as mixed-use neighborhood, which does allow for apartments to be built. If you remember, earlier this year, the Avenue 44 Pacific West apartments were approved directly across the street from AMPM, and then there are currently no land entitlement applications in the queue for the area directly behind the AMPM.
Thank you, Kendra. Thank you, Kevin.
Kevin, quick question. Did the traffic study identify any mitigation measures for an area of multiple residents concern being where Avenue 43 connects to that Winco 24-hour fitness type parking lot area? It is a busy area.
So, as a reminder to the commission and the public, where Avenue 43 terminates and you start going into that center, that is private property. So that is not a public road, and that is not a area of influence on the city. We cannot dictate to the shopping center operator what they do or don't do within their property. Technically, if they wanted to close that access as it goes from the public right-of-way onto private property, on their side, they would have legal authority to do so. However, Public Works and Planning did communicate with the operators of the Indio Town Center and answer their questions, concerns about the project. I know the applicant reached out and spoke to them as well. And so we did make them aware of the project. They did not submit any written comments and are not participating in the hearing this evening. So there is not any intended mitigation. However, as a reminder, they on their own could decide that because they're not comfortable with the traffic impacts and limit access on their property.
To add to that, the applicant did complete a portion of their traffic impact analysis that did address potential traffic impacts from the development in that shopping center, and those findings are built into the initial study. That's an attachment to the staff report.
And I believe Mrs. Chris also noted, and I believe the number is correct, Kendra or Rodan can correct me if I'm wrong, but approximately 800 of the trips generated by this project would go through the center, which is a relatively small portion of the total trips generated by this project.
Thank you.
Any further comments? I just have one, Kevin, Director Snyder. Based on our housing element, if I can remember correctly, would you say that based on our inventory, do we have a housing shortage, rental shortage in our city?
So we have identified a need to plan for 7,812 housing units. Approximately 3,600 of those are what we call market rate units, such as this project. This project is proposed to be market rate. The remainder are what we call affordable units, and then it's 2,963 units, and those are broken down into subcategories with a number of units based on level of income. The city does not, we know anecdotally that when projects go in, there are waiting lists for projects, particularly projects that are affordable. We know that there's continued market interest in our community. We are processing several new residential projects that will come before this commission. So it has been recognized externally by the Southern California Association of Governments, the state of California, and various housing-oriented groups that there is throughout the Coachella Valley, there is a housing need. I'm not comfortable using the term crisis, that's kind of a subjective term, but there is a housing need. Our housing element that, again, this commission worked on and was adopted by the City Council, we have a need for 7,812 housing units to keep up with the anticipated growth, and as part of that, we want to diversify the housing product type to include more than just single family.
So the short answer is yes.
The short answer is yes, but with all those caveats.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments for staff? Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comments. I guess at this time, who would like to go first?
I'll go first. I just want to say thank you once again to everyone and the comments that were made by the public as well. And while, we have an opportunity here to provide what I personally do think is a housing right to every resident in the state of California, an opportunity to bring in additional housing elements like these to a very specific and niche demographic group. But more importantly, providing yet the opportunity, in my opinion, to also provide, benefits to our community as a result of bringing in additional folks into the valley, bringing in families, participating in this connectedness as a city, and more importantly, providing the opportunity for these young families, as was presented by the developer, an opportunity. And more importantly, for those who do decide, like me one day, to sell my home and to get into a property as such. But more importantly, I think just looking at the outlook and this aggressive, housing need for the state of California, I do think that this is an opportunity for us to really examine this and provide the necessary feedback that's needed, possibly, to staff, recommendations that I may have as a result of looking at some of the construction and the elements that were there. The one thing that kind of stood out to me were the color of the doors, and that was about it. I did see that there was a need for possibly us kind of looking at the doors, only because I do know that those painted doors like that do have a tendency to get more dirty than a very vague-looking color, for lack of a better way of putting that. But more importantly, I just wanted to say once again thank you to those that presented, and just noting the members of the public that we hear you and we understand. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. I also want to thank the members of the public for their thoughts and their concerns, and thank you to the developer for the presentation. I do think that, I don't remember what was the year, Kevin, that we had until to produce those 7,800.
We had to plan for October 2021 to October 2029.
That's a big number, and I think 1,200 goes a long way towards us achieving that goal. I think this is a great opportunity for people transitioning to home ownership, or people downsizing, which there's a lot of that. A lot of my friends, their kids are moving out, and myself, I'm in a 3-bedroom home by myself, so something like that might appeal to me one day. But I just think it's a good opportunity for a lot of people looking to come to Indio and establish themselves out here.
Thank you, Commissioner Ciano. I again, I hate to use the word concur, but I just again want to thank the members of the public that came out with their concerns and questions about the project. I'd like to thank the applicant and the applicant's team for your presentation. Being on this commission and have 5 generations of my family here in the city of Indio, I'm approached by members of the community asking, when are you going to build? When are you going to approve something? My daughter's coming back, to the valley. She's going to be a nurse, or my other son's going to be a teacher or a firefighter. They're going to the firefighter academy, and there really isn't a price point because they can't afford affordable housing, or they don't qualify for affordable housing, but yet they're not quite yet to be able to afford their own home. So this is, again, I just wanted to commend the applicant, because this is something that's much needed. And again, having a young son that's in college and can't really afford to buy his own home right now, but this is something that he would gravitate to. But again, I just want to thank, this is a great project in our city, and it is much needed. And again, I want to thank all of staff as well. So at this time, I would like to see if there's a motion on the floor. Do we have a motion?
Yes, I'd like to motion that we approve resolution number 2066, number 2069, and number 2070 of the Planning Commission of the City of Indio, conditionally approving number 1, resolution number 2066 for the plan and review 2206-503 of Phase Area 1, which includes the development of 340 residential units consisting of 195 garden-style attached and detached single-family units and 145 townhomes, half-street improvements along Calhoun Street and Avenue 43 frontages, including landscaping, curbs, gutters, and site access drives, and resolution number 2070 certifying that the project's final initial study with mitigated negative declaration is in compliance with section 15074 of CEQA guidelines.
I apologize for interrupting, but can you please add with the addition of the conditions of approval that were provided to you prior to the meeting?
Yes. Just reading verbatim from 35, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Applicant shall construct all mitigation measures identified in the traffic study for the proposed project. Moving on to number 2. And recommending that the City Council conditionally approve resolution number 2069 for the Calhoun and the Avenue 43 specific plan for the development of 1,200 build-to-rent residential units with community pools, gyms, clubhouses, and open space common areas.
I will second.
All right, for roll call, Commissioner Isiano,
Yes.
Commissioner Fajardo,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you so much. All right, next item is action items.
There are none.
Okay, do we have any study session items or commissioner comments?
There are no study session items.
Commissioner comments? Staff items?
So knowing that the evening is late, we will just be brief, but I did want to share with the commission, and I'm going to see if I can get our IT folks to bring up a website for us. All right, there we go. So wanted to share with the Planning Commission, we've mentioned to you that we've been working on a big project for the citizens of Indio, along with our businesses, our property owners, and our developers, and we're happy to announce that yesterday it launched. This is the City of Indio's new citizen self-service portal. From here, you can, thank you, you can access a variety of services. You can apply for a building permit. You can apply for a business license. You can submit your planning entitlement application. You can submit a code enforcement application. You can work with our fire department. You can work with Indio Water Authority. You can also work with our community services folks if you need to reserve a park. So the idea is that this is a one-stop shop portal where you can go on and access city services. We've been working on this for over a year and a half. On top of all their other work, there you go, on top of all their other work, staff from every city department worked on this, and sometimes late into the evening and early in the morning and over lunches, and so just wanted to share this with the commission. We're very excited. This has been something that we've been working on for a long time. Had a couple of stop and starts, but we're there and we're very excited about this. So we wanted to share this with the commission, with members of the public who may be watching. So this is the new online opportunity to engage with us. If you want to take a look at it, you can go to the city's website at www.indio.org, and on the homepage, which is shown right here, you can click on a link to that webpage you just looked at, and you can explore at your convenience. But we wanted to share that with you. We're very excited. We kind of joke this takes us from a Yugo to a Cadillac in terms of how we're providing services. I'm not picking on a Yugo. It's just this is really kind of a 21st century smart technology application, in addition to all the other technology applications the city's been doing over the last several years. So we're very excited about it. Wanted to share that with the Planning Commission. And I think also maybe Kendra wants to share a little bit of good news. So I'm going to turn it over to her.
I hope I'm thinking about what you're trying to have me think about, but we have a new senior planner that's going to be joining us. Is that the news? Yeah? Okay, perfect. Yeah, she's going to be joining us hopefully early next week, and she's joining us from the city of Palm Desert, and we're really looking forward to having her.
And just to add, she's very experienced. She's done work in the public and private sector. We're very excited to have her. She's going to, I think, complement our team, going to give us a lot more depth, give Kendra and myself the opportunity to breathe a little bit. And so we've already met today, and we've already established her workload. So she's going to hit the ground running. So we're very excited about that. And the final thing, yes, ma'am.
can I ask, is this a previous planner that we had before at the city that's returning?
It is not a previous planner that's returning. Yes, I wondered if you might ask that. No, that previous planner is just about running the place over there. So I don't think she'll be coming back to us, but we are lucky to get this new person. Just because she hasn't started officially yet, we'll hold her name, but you'll get to meet her soon. And then the last thing is just as we've shared with you, we continue to be very busy in the planning arena. I think we're close to 40 land use entitlement applications of various sizes right now. A lot of them are going to be coming your way. I think we've kind of scheduled out through the end of the year for public hearings before you, so you will not want for time at your biweekly planning commission meeting. We will have plenty for you to work on. Several large projects coming through. And I did want to note and compliment Kendra. In the last few weeks, she's brought to you 2,700 housing units for your consideration. These were large projects that were already in motion when she joined the city in August of 2022, and she took them on, and she did an amazing job of shepherding these projects through. So I really want to thank her and commend her, because I kind of handed them off to her and said, good luck. I'll be here if you need me. But she did an amazing job of bringing these through. We talked about those, that housing element, and those two projects together with the Palmera project you considered at the end of 2022. Of that 3,600 units, we're almost at 3,000 of those units market rate. If all the projects on the affordable housing come to fruition, including one that we're going to be bringing to you in the fall, we'll be close to 1,000 affordable housing units in the city. So that housing element goal of 7,812 housing units and both market and affordable, we're doing really well, bluntly, I think, in comparison to a lot of other cities. And that's a testament to the city's attractiveness to the market. That's also a testament to the Planning Commission and your hard work in considering these and going through these reviews that aren't always easy. So I did want to share that with you, that we were talking about that today. And it's amazing to think in the short amount of time we adopted that housing element in April of 2022, and we're almost, we're over 75% there on the market, and we've made a great inroads on the affordable at about 40% of that goal. So not a bad place to be a year after adopting the housing element. So again, I want to thank the Planning Commission for all your hard work. I know we load you up constantly, and we really appreciate you taking the time. So happy to answer any questions, Kendra and I, if you have any questions of us. If not, we'll say goodnight.
Any questions?
Just where's the celebration so we can celebrate for Kendra? Congratulations, by the way, and thank you guys. That's awesome.
We can tell Eric Ceja we're even now.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Okay.
I think you and Eric and I think you might have won the arm wrestle. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
And I just want to say kudos to whoever developed the app, because I downloaded the app version. So I'm going around the city taking pictures of graffiti, reporting, all these things that we see, and it works. It works great. The response has been impeccable. So kudos to the city staff, particularly all of our city workers, that were out there. I noticed them out there the other day, busting their behinds to clean up the city on the heels of that little minor wind and rain that we saw the other day. So just want to say thank you, guys.
And I want to just note thank you, Commissioner, because I think one of the groups that doesn't get a lot of attention, but we would not be doing a lot without them, is our information technology folks. We have a couple of them behind the window here. They are amazing. They create solutions on the spot. So we're really lucky to have an amazing team. They're led by Ian Cousins, our information technology director, and just a great group of people who work really hard every day. So all this technology deployment that you're seeing, they're shepherding that through. So really want to give a shout out to them because they deserve it.
Okay. Any other questions before we close? Okay, I guess that's it. So I guess our next meeting, we'll go ahead and adjourn. Our next meeting will be on Wednesday, September 13th. It's here at 6 p.m. Meeting adjourned. I like that. Thank you. Thank you.